Prospect Watch. This is an undefeated heavyweight from Brooklyn, New York called Michael Coffie. Now, he is a former Marine. He didn't have an extensive amateur background, but he has sparred with a lot of fighters. I believe he's sparred with the likes of Deontay Wilder and several other top heavyweights. He's currently 12-0 with 9 KOs. He is 34 years of age. Not sure if I already mentioned that. He's a switch hitter. I've seen a few of his fights now, a few clips of his knockouts. Big guy, 6'5", 83-inch reach, and very muscular. In his last fight against Damani Rock, he weighed in at 270 pounds. He's weighed as high as 282 before. That was for his fight against Larry Knight in 2019. Hasn't fought anybody with a pulse yet. Some of the names you may recognize are Grover Young. He fought Sergey Kovalev back in the days, believe it or not. Also fought Deontay Wilder, I think. Grover Young. Could be wrong there. Joey Abel. He fought Tyson Fury several years ago. Managed to stop him in 2 rounds, did Michael Coffie. This is one of his fights from last year, August 8th. Against Pina. What's the guy's first name? Luis Eduardo Pina. Okay, and he managed to stop him in 5. Or knock him out in 5. A tough guy, Pina. But obviously was going nowhere fast in his career. Even though he's 6-0, he was a tough guy. 232 pounds, 5'11", I believe. So, yeah, I decided to make a video about this guy because he does have some natural ability. The lack of an extensive amateur background is going to be a problem, but it's not necessarily an insurmountable problem. I mean, Dylan White didn't have an extensive amateur background, and there are several other fighters who have ended up becoming top 10 legit contenders who didn't have an extensive amateur career. He clearly takes training seriously. So despite the fact that he's 270 pounds, he isn't a ball of lard. He's actually more like mostly muscle. Now, I do think that he could lose some of that muscle. A lot of these guys, particularly in the States, although we've got Anthony Joshua in the UK, who went through the same phase of constantly bulking up and wanting to be as big as possible. Thankfully, Anthony Joshua's dropped that now, and he's realized that packing on all this excess muscle is to his detriment. So I'd like to see Michael Coffie reduce the resistance training, all the weightlifting, the protein shakes, reduce all that, because I think he would really benefit from it. Now, he's not stiff like AJ. He's actually quite fluid, naturally fluid, and moves fairly well. Now, you can still see there's a little bit of rawness in him, even though he fights in a fairly slick manner and likes to switch hit and stuff. You can still see a bit of rawness in the way he throws his punches sometimes and his stance a little bit. But given the fact that he didn't have an extensive amateur background and he's only 12-0 at the moment, I think it's fairly impressive that he's been able to get to where he's at in terms of his development as a fighter, his technique and so on. So at 6'5", with an 83-inch reach, 270 pounds, I think he's someone that we should at least keep one eye on to see, because at the end of the day, in the heavyweight division, one punch is all it takes. You know, you can get upsets and what have you. So we'll see where this guy goes. Michael Coffie, take a look at him. There's several fights and clips on YouTube. And to me, he looks like a decent prospect. It's a shame that he's this old, 34, because if he was 24 rather than 34, I think there'd be a lot more people talking about him. But because he's in his mid-30s now and he's so inexperienced, people are going to dismiss him and they're going to say, he's not really going to go anywhere. And maybe they're right, but I don't know. For one, I like his style. He's had some, interesting knockouts, some highlight reel knockouts against nobody, obviously. But still, the good punches were landed and people's heads went spinning. And he's knocked some people out while he was on the back foot as well, which is always good to see. So check him out on YouTube and let me know what you think of Michael Coffie, American heavyweight prospect.